Okay, welcome to this Creative Writing 101 web series. So what we're going to be talking about today is poem sketching, which is kind of a fun creative writing activity for people who are interested in poetry or interested in perhaps getting into writing poetry. So with this web series, what this really is going to be is sort of a series of videos aimed at beginning writers who are interested in exploring the craft of creative writing. And of course, experienced writers are welcome to come and practice their craft here as well. Maybe some of these exercises will give them an opportunity to try something new or explore something new. And so hopefully that'll be helpful as well. And while these are typically aimed at adults, all of these exercises, they can be adapted for kids. So if you've got little ones at home, maybe they're interested in creative writing, or you want to get them sort of interested in it, this might be a good opportunity to give that a shot. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try and cover some of the basics of creative writing. In this series, we'll talk about some tools and give you some exercises that'll kind of help you explore and hopefully find your own voice. So what I'm going to do is try and release these weekly on the Santa Clara City Library YouTube page. So keep an eye out for those. And so let's go ahead and jump into it. So what exactly is poem sketching? So what I've done is I'm using this book here. It's called Writing Poetry from the Inside Out by Sanford Lyne. This is what it looks like. And I'm adapting an exercise from this book for this video here. So if you have a chance, go ahead and check out that book. I like the way Lynn refers to poem sketching as quote unquote fishing for poems. So what it is it's not really having a goal in mind with what you are writing, but more taking a series of words, combining those words into phrases, and trying to figure out what the poem is that you can pull out of that. So that's kind of like it's really kind of like a fun, sort of playful, open-ended approach to writing poetry. And what it does is it forces the writer to kind of look for connections in unexpected places. So it also gives the writer a lot of freedom to kind of explore language, their own relationship to the subject that's being used, and play with that as well. So this exercise moves pretty quickly, and it really works best if you rely on your intuition. So as hard as it is, try and not overthink it. We're not trying to create the perfect poem right off the bat. All we're trying to do is generate material and something that we can work with over the course of time. Okay? So just relax, dive into it, have some fun, and let's see where it takes you. Okay? So how does this work? Typically, it begins with a small group of words. I like to start with maybe about 4 words. So these can be words that you pull from a list. They can be words that you generate yourself. You can pull them from anywhere. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine those words into a series of phrases, and we're going to kind of play with the language that way. And then we're going to allow those images from those phrases to kind of inspire new combinations or help create new permutations on the lines that we've already created. So what does that all mean? Here's our list of steps that we're going to do. Let me give you an example here. So I did this exercise earlier, and I started with these 4 words: gray, leaves, fence, and bricks. So those are the 4 words that I'm going to use, my small groups of words, and I'm going to try and combine all of those words into a single phrase. So the first phrase I came up with was, on a gray day, when leaves turn, I'll build a fence, brick by heavy brick. Okay, so I've incorporated each one of those words into that phrase. I tried another one here. I can never leave a fence unmended, the cracks between the bricks poised to be filled with gray cement. Okay. So all I'm doing is taking different permutations of this combination of words and piecing them together and allowing the poem basically to find me. So I'm just trying to dig the poem out of the words that I have to choose from. Here's another one. The last I saw that fence, it lay on its side, propped up by a pile of bricks. The ash that lay beneath had gone all gray and crumbled, mixing with the tree's leaves. A gray fence goes unmended on a bright spring day when budding leaves overshadow a pile of unused bricks. So here's 4 different examples of me taking those that small group of words and combining them in different ways to create a series of phrases that I can work with. These phrases for me personally just happen to be somewhat evocative or interesting imagery. They don't necessarily have to mean anything to you right off the bat, but if they do, that's cool. I just allowed the process to happen and tried to piece the words together and sort of use it as sort of like a puzzle, which is pretty fun. So here are kind of some helpful hints and suggestions for this process. Number one, like I said earlier, choose your words from a list or create your own list. Start collecting words that you find interesting or that are evocative or make you think about something or feel something. So start to choose words that way. Number two, impose some limitations on yourself when you're putting these phrases together. You'll be really surprised at what you come up with. So for myself, one of the limitations I put was I'm going to make sure that each one of these words is used in that order within the phrase. So what do I mean by that? On this first one, the words are gray, leaves, fence, and bricks. So I wanted to make sure that I put them in that order in the phrase. On a gray day, when the leaves turn, I'll build a fence, brick by heavy brick. So I put them in that order, and that forced me to find the connection between each one of those words. On the second one, I did the same thing, but instead of starting with gray, I started with the second word. So I could not leave a fence unmended, the cracks between the bricks poised to be filled with gray cement. So I started on word 2, went to word 3, went to word 4, and then back to word 1. The third one, I did the same thing, but starting on word 3. The last I saw that fence, it lay on its side propped up by a pile of bricks. The ash that lay beneath had gone all gray and crumbled, mixing with the tree's leaves. So this is one way that you can kind of start to generate ideas, is by starting in different places and piecing things together that way. Number 3, I should say, allow the words to shift. So you can adjust, for example, if child was your word, you can use the word children. Or if the word is bricks, you can use sticks. So sometimes kind of playing with a different rhyme will also give you an interesting way to try different combinations and permutations. The other thing you can do, which is a really fun way of exploring poetry, is use different definitions of the word as you move along. And that creates some interesting options here. So you can see in the second one, instead of using the word leaves, as in the noun, leaves that fall from a tree, I decided to change the word from leaves that fall from a tree to the action of leaving, right? So same word, different definition, creates a completely different image. So that's kind of another fun way where you can sort of play with language. And last but not least, no wrong answers. Have fun with it. Just have a good time. Put words together, see what comes out, see if something sparks some sort of interest, see if something maybe inspires you to go down a different path. You can change the words, you can amend the words, you can remove the words. Whatever gets you going and creates some interest for you is a successful attempt at poem sketching. Okay? So I kind of played with these phrases a little bit and ended up combining a bunch of them into something that I liked. And so I thought I'd share it here. So here's the poem that I put together. Gray and crumbled. The last time I saw that fence, it lay upon its side, propped up by an ancient pile of bricks. The soot and ash that lay beneath had gone all gray and crumbled, while budding leaves from sapling trees cast shadows. So you can see I've taken elements of different parts of those lines and combined them together to find something that kind of works for me and seems a little bit more evocative. So that's something else that you can try, is rewriting the poem now that you have a series of lines and putting them together and see what comes out of it. Okay, so you can hit pause on your screen at this point, and you can use this list of words to start generating your own poem. So I'll give you a second to pause here. Okay. Once you've done that, you can use this list, you can add to this list, you can remove words, you can start putting your own words in. Whatever you want to do is totally fair game. But this is just a jumping off point for you to start exploring poem sketching. Okay. And some closing words. Try and use a different set of 4 words each day for a week and see what you come up with. So this exercise can take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If you want to sit down for a half an hour and do it, you can. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that every day you're kind of trying something new and sort of exploring language. The second thing, start storing your poem sketches in a notebook. Personally, I have a little black moleskin notebook here where I kind of store on a daily basis words that I use, poems that I write, and the dates, because it's kind of fun to be able to go back to things that you've done in the past and see what's come out of it. Maybe even if you like to use a little, yellow notepad, this works. I tend to write a lot of sloppy lines, but whatever works. Write it on a napkin if you want. Anything is fair game. Also, begin collecting words and phrases you find interesting in your notebook. So if you're out on a walk, you might see something that sparks your interest. Jot it down, put it in your phone, take a voice memo, keep a pen and paper with you, and start collecting those words and things that you find interesting that maybe you can use in a poem later. Okay, and this is just an exercise to generate content. It's not to create the perfect poem right off the bat, but it gives you the space to explore and kind of play with language. So just have a lot of fun with it because it's a fun exercise. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, feel free to contact me, librarians at santaclaraca.gov. My name is Sim. And make sure that you put creative writing in the subject line so whoever answers that email will know or sees that email will know to forward it on to me. Okay? So I hope that gives you a good jump start to maybe creating some poetry and having fun with language on your own. So thanks, and start sketching. Have a good one. We'll see you next week.